If you love the tremolo sounds of the 60s and the tremolo sounds of the famous Fender amplifiers of the same era, well, they're back with a bang today. My name's Gary Clinton, this is GMI. The Marshall Vibratrem, another pedal by Marshall, which is offering two different effects on the one pedal, which is always pretty cool. It's the VT1, and it's a vibrato pedal and a tremolo pedal. It still exists within the modulation world of guitar effects pedals, and let's take a little look at it. So first of all, the tremolo. Tremolo was a feature that came into Fender amplifiers, for example, in the 60s. It was also something that was quite common on guitar tones and guitar sounds of the same era. And what you can think of it as literally doing is that. It's just really taking in your volume, dipping your volume and bringing it back in at rates that you can set by changing the knobs and the pedals. So, the tremolo setting first of all. Let's look at the pedal itself and we can see what controls it has. This knob here, it says vibe for the vibrato sound and trem for the tremolo, and I've got it set at tremolo. You then have speed, depth and shape. Now depth is an effect that you saw in the chorus pedal, or if you haven't watched it, check it out. We have a video on chorus pedals, and you see that depth appears quite a lot in modulation effects, and it's the intensity of the effect. The higher you've got the depth, the more prominent the sound of the effect is. So I've got, and I always quite like to start with a new pedal. Let's just put everything in the 12 o'clock position, and that's where it all is just now. So it sounds like this. It's got a bit of a kind of spaghetti western kind of thing. You've probably heard that kind of guitar tone come up in Tarantino films, surf guitar, shimmering guitar sounds of the 60s and maybe early 70s as well. It's got a great sound. I mean, the classic tremolos, I suppose, were on Fender amplifiers initially, but there's some really nice tremolo pedals on the market just now by different manufacturers. Marshall's maybe not, they're not the most prominent on the scene, but I like them. I think they've got some good sounds, and especially when they're combining some similar sounds in the same box. It's pretty cool. So let's see what we can do to that. Everything is kind of changeable. Speed. Let's put the speed down to the left there, so we're making the speed slower. One thing that I'd like to mention about these controls on pedals is the way you play your guitar is important. With a sound like that, because it's a slow speed, so your volume's coming down and coming back up at quite a slow rate. So if you're playing faster stuff, you don't even really notice the tremolos there, and I think it's maybe a bit of a pitfall with some people using effects for the first time, that the way you play is important. So if we've got something set on a slower setting, because the tremolo was bringing its volume in and out in a slow way, because I was playing fast notes there, it didn't really respond to it properly. It needs to be, chords perhaps that are long notes for it to have its full effect. Let's go to the other side. Fast. We'll go back to this nice James Bond chord, the minor major 7. A much more rapid sound there, as you can see. The tremolo is taking the signal up and down much quicker. You can almost hear as well, once we listen to the Vibratrem, the similarities between the effects. You find that there's overlap between a lot of modulation effects. As one effect gets to an extreme, it begins to knock on the door of another one. Okay, depth. Now that has made the effect a little bit more kind of chunky. The volume's getting kind of cut a lot more prominently. And then opposite, if I take the depth right down, you can actually hardly hear it anymore if I've got the depth off. Put it somewhere in the middle, and we've got that nice kind of tremolo sound coming back. Now the other knob on the Vibratrem, on the tremolo setting, is the shape, and that is the kind of waveform that the tremolo effect is based upon. We've got two different options. If I turn it to, now at the minute, again, as I've mentioned, we have it in the 12 o'clock position. As we come to the left, the waveform is more of a kind of sine wave kind of thing. It's actually doing this. It's like a kind of diagonal sine wave, you might say, triangle wave. And let's have a listen. I'm just going to bring our depth down, speed down a wee bit there as well. Now the other side is the square wave. So in other words, it's a lot more solid sounding. The depth's still up reasonably high so that we can hear what's going on. There's the square wave sound. And there is the triangle wave. It's a very subtle difference, but there is a difference in there that you can hopefully hear. Okay, the other side to this pedal is the Vibratrem aspect of it, the vibrato side of it. Controls are just the same, but it's just the effect that you're getting at the end of the day is different. So, speed. There's the speed up full. Depth. A bit more of an intense sound. There's the depth away. And again, the shape's just changing the waveform that all these, the effect based on. Now, if we kind of keep going with these, with these settings, we're going to get towards chorus if we were to keep mucking around with it. Let's put that on quite an extreme setting. So high depth, square wave, a high speed, and we've got we can still. It wasn't quite as intense as the chorus, but you can see how that you're starting to sound a wee bit chorusy almost. So there you go. I had a lot of fun mucking around with the Marshall Vibratrem VT1. If you'd like to see other videos on other pedals, check out the GMI YouTube channel and subscribe. Always subscribe to the videos if you want free content and free lessons. Go and visit the GMI website as well, www.guitarandmusicinstitute.com.